you for staying with us, folks. And, of course, you can always reach us on Facebook and Twitter at carlnelsonshow.com. And joining us right now is social activist Gregory. And, Greg, welcome back to WOL.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, and the family and all your listeners.
You were concerned about that shooting. You said still a lot of unanswered questions in that shooting on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I just happened to have been in front of a TV, and I saw it. I didn't know what it was. And I said, and I looked, and I said, wow. And it happened at like 2:10 or 2:20. So I get a call from London an hour later, and the person on the other end said the woman's dead. And so I'm waiting and listening for the news here to say that, and they never say she's dead till after 7 o'clock that evening. And so that's the first thing. Why is that hid from us? The other thing is the baby. You know, I don't know how any woman can buy into that unless on a worldwide level they think that's a black thing. No woman is going to get in her car and take her 1-year-old child. As a matter of fact, the baby wasn't 1 year old. It was 18 months. From Connecticut to D.C. Now, was she holding the baby? You see, all the news ain't giving us nothing because nobody's giving it to them. If she's driving from New York, where Connecticut is, to Washington, D.C., what time did she leave? What filling stations did she go to? You remember the astronaut woman that was mad at her astronaut boyfriend, and she was planning on killing him, and she got in her car, and she put on the baby diapers, and she said, I didn't want to stop in the filling station because the cameras. Boy, you telling me she drove from Connecticut to D.C. and didn't stop at a filling station? So nobody's saying we're going to check the filling stations to see where she stopped to gas up a 1-year-old child, which they're telling us. How many times did that child have to have the diaper changed? How many that time is crying if it's not being hugged and held? Was it in the back seat? Was it in the front seat? How did you feed the baby? You know, those are very important. Then somebody leaked out the fact that she had a passport for her and the baby. Well, wait a minute. All they told us about is the boyfriend. That could be anybody at the CIA headquarters. They haven't produced them. We don't know nothing about it. And nobody said who the daddy is. You know, was the boyfriend the daddy? Well, I'm sure you talk to him, and especially when you got a fraud set up, you got people you plan on talking to. And so what we're looking at now is they're giving us all this craziness and never giving us serious chump information. Like, is the child a girl or a boy? Who's the father? How do you get a passport for a child and without the father's consent or child services consent? So all of that is out there. Two, those of you all who live in D.C. and been by the White House, I'm not talking as a friend or a guest, you know you can't drive up to that White House fence like they say she did. It's nothing there but concrete. So they put that out, and we listening to all the stuff that's coming so fast, we forget to evaluate. Say, wait a minute, you cannot drive a car up to the White House fence. Now, they tell us about the CIA, the FBI, military intelligence, defense intelligence. They got about 15 other cops, man, that the CIA don't even know about. You talking about the mightiest capital in the history of the planet here in Washington, D.C. And you telling me all these professional folks who make their life doing that, some of them fathers was that. And you telling me a black woman can elude them and go from one sensitive area and get all the way down to the Senate building and nobody can catch her? Those of us that live here, you know that route she took There's always cars and bicycles out there. Nobody gets hit. And then all at once we see the cops have the car surrounded. They got their guns out. When the question is asked, why did you have to shoot? They said, we didn't know if it was a bomb in the car. Well, you mean the press here is so dumb they didn't say, since when do you shoot at a car with a bomb in it? Huh? I mean, them cops were all around that car shooting. So much, I'm surprised they didn't shoot each other. Now, we know they got bomb-sniffing dogs. No place on the planet do they have bomb-sniffing dogs like they have around Congress. More so there than the White House. We didn't see them get one bomb-sniffing dog at all. And so no press is asking them nothing like that. Or these here phony press. These some folks that's planted there to ask certain questions. And so if you thought it was a bomb in the car, you got the car surrounded. What about the bomb squad? Every time we hear anywhere in America about their suspicious, they think it's a bomb, they bring in the bomb squad. And the bomb squad tells you, everybody get back. And then they bring in these huge things, look like trucks, with all this steel and stuff around it. And then they bring out this little automatic thing that goes in and pick up the bomb. And then if they find it, they put it in this big old can of oil. We didn't see none of that. Now, in all of that, we sit and we look at that car when they thought they had it surrounded. We look at that car, turn around and get out of there, and now they chase them again. Oh, wait, hold it. Was it anybody in the car in the first place, or was that car remotely controlled? And don't get in all this old stuff. I looked at it. Come on, y'all. Drones is remotely controlled, okay? We got some little old robots up on Mars that been up there 10 years. They go from one end of Mars to the other, and they control that from Houston, okay? So don't take your ignorance and try to figure out something that don't make sense. If it don't make sense, leave it right there, and something might come over and say, yeah, okay. Now, let's go back to they said she's dead. Well, let's say she was shot in the car. One of the interesting things about this incident, they've been chasing this car since the White House. So the news people had time to put the helicopters up, just like we look at those chasing them cars in L.A. on the freeway. You can see every move that car makes. Okay? Now, how come if they chasing this car and the car keep turning around and going other ways, but you don't see nobody in? There was one man they was interviewing, and he said, the man was in the car, and it's just amazed, the way he was maneuvering. Oh, a man. Now, all at once now we hear that she's dead. Well, if you remember, those of you all that watched it, it was press people all around that car. How come we didn't see an ambulance come in and take her body out? Or if she wasn't dead, how come we didn't see an ambulance pull up? We got open shot view, everything. You saw the cops running in there, and there was something strange around one of the police cars. One of the police cars got out, and they was on the ground for a long time. Now, I don't know if they was disabling something, but I can tell you and guarantee you, especially from the folks I'm talking to in Europe, that car was remotely controlled, okay, just like drones. And so consequently, those questions haven't been answered. Then they tell us, well, we interviewed her sister and then her boyfriend. But wait. You don't need good police work for that. Tell me how she got from Connecticut with this child all the way to D.C. and didn't gas up, okay? Now, you might can explain it, but it needs to be explained. You're not explaining it, huh? And the press here, they just go out. I don't know if they got dirt on them, if they sit them up. You know how few people in America know that when they supposedly buried Kennedy, they can't find his brain? Huh? And people all over the world know that Kennedy's brain is missing. Well, it looked like somebody would say, oh, no, wait. looked like somebody in the press would go to court and get an order to exhume the body. Okay?
Right. Hang on a sec, Greg, because we got to take a quick break here. We come back, I'll let you finish up, because this story is fascinating. So far, it's sort of buried. Nobody's talking about it. It's gone and forgotten, but still, as Dick Gregory says, a lot of unanswered questions. Folks, you can join the conversation with Dick Gregory at 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls right after this quick break.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
And thank you for staying with us, folks, and reaching out to us on Facebook and Twitter. And also, if you want to speak to Dick Gregory, it's real easy. It's 800-450-7876. That's 800-450-7876. Greg, I'm going to let you finish your thoughts that you were saying before the break.
And so when you look at all of the information that's not coming out, now, we out here in the street didn't create that. We taken what you gave us and put it in. They say, well, she was a dental assistant, technician. You tell us where she was working, and we check it out and find out that's the United States Navy in that building, fronting under that dental assistant thing, is the number one assassination team that America had. They are big assassinations in the CIA and the FBI. So now, if we don't know this, and you just say she was working there, she's going through all kind of illusions and stuff, did she know something? Was she part of that operation? Did she hear something she wasn't supposed to hear? And so when you stop and think about, then they say she quit, then they say she was fired. And so all of that is put there. Have they looked at the timeline? At the time the baby was born? Did she take a leave of absence? This is important when you're trying to do an investigation to find out who is the boyfriend. You ain't told us who he was. You say the boyfriend. And then everybody seemed to think, wait a minute, what kind of force did y'all? Well, we didn't know she had a bomb in the car. And so all of this here, they talking about the president's birth certificate. Have anybody checked to see the baby's birth certificate? You know, what hospital was born in? What's the real name of it? Because we haven't even heard the name. And so again, I said, and I don't know, is vicious as the press is. One day this country is going to fall, and it's going to be because the press. I'm not talking about little reporters in the street. It's going to be the police department. I'm talking about the average cop in the street. I mean, here is the police chief of Washington, D.C., and what I'm thinking to tell y'all now, y'all need to Google this. This is too important to take one. The mess at the Naval Yard was on Monday. Just hold that in your head now. The next day was Tuesday. Now let's go a week from Tuesday. The story broke on Wednesday, so they had the press tell. The police chief of Washington, D.C. said, we got to update you. There was a second cop that was shot. Wait a minute. Ho. You telling us something this important, you don't know if it's terrorists, you don't know if it's somebody planning on hitting the blowing up the Senate and the Congress, and now you're going to tell us a second D.C. cop? Then they say, he went home. Let's think about this a minute. You're a cop on duty in one of the biggest operations that ever hit here in recent times. And here's a cop. We told one cop is shot, but you're going to tell us it was two cops shot, and you, the police chief, didn't know about it till a week later because you saying this cop left the scene, didn't go to the hospital, went home. Well, was he one of the shooters? What is this about? I mean, you never heard of anything like that. And some of you hearing it from the first time now. It was in a little article in the Washington, D.C. Times. Okay? Update. And then she said, we want to update you. It was another cop that was shot. Bulletproof vest took. Wait. You run a police department so sleazy that in a major operation like we looked at. Now, let's go back now. because they just told us something yesterday. They said when the cops got there, the Capitol Police told them to stand down. Now there's shootings, and so we got to investigate this. Now they said they got to put it off till later because the government's shutting down. Wait. If you tell me that y'all in the middle of an investigation, and because of the government shutting down, y'all got to interrupt? Come on, y'all paying for chump stuff that go through. The Congress folks was upset in that other one that they couldn't get planes, so they switched the laws so the Congress folks, not they couldn't just for them, but people the airport folks. And you gonna tell me so now they telling us yesterday that investigation won't be. This is serious. You telling me that the Metropolitan Police showed up, the Capitol Police told them to stand down, and the press don't seem to be worried about that? The press is not saying, wait a minute, how do y'all, and that's why you know it's more to it than what they're telling us. And so now consequently, to get back to the lady, where was she shot? How many times was she shot? I know somebody that looked at the pictures, and they told me before they showed them to me. And they said, wow, this looks like Emmett Till. Did you hear what I just said? And so consequently, you listen and you hear what they're saying, and none of it is making sense. You just come up from nowhere. She's here now. Now this is really incredible. And those of y'all should Google this. She went to the police chief in that little town she lived in and said, she hear the president talking to her. She know they want to kill her, okay? So why wouldn't you think she's crazy? She might not be if you understand mind control. But how come a handful of us know this? Because the police in that town have the records, huh? So how big is this thing? And then we get some little talking nobody ever heard of. Say he's the boyfriend, and say, oh yeah, she was saying that the president was after her, and you hear these voices, and she know they're controlling her mind. Well, wait a minute. That might sound crazy if you couldn't answer all these other questions. Who is the baby? Who's the baby's father? Huh? How come we never saw her? How come we didn't see an ambulance come up and take that body out the car? How come an hour after it was shooting, somebody calls me and says she's dead? And so all of this here is not making sense, and we just throwing it out and look like they can just drop it. Man, they'll milk a story here. They'll milk a story till forever. And then all at once, we don't hear anything. It's almost like it didn't happen. Almost like it didn't happen. And let me just read something to you, and y'all can pull this up off the internet. And especially the Russians have so much stuff on what's going on here. And how do they have it? And we don't have it. This press here. Did the press take off? I want you to hear this. And y'all can pull this up and check it out for yourself. And most of you will miss what I'm fixing to show you. This is the Daily Courier. That's a paper in Canada. Here's what it says. Police, FBI, shooter reported in military building at Washington, D.C. Naval Yard. Now, the Washington, D.C., the Naval Yard, their budget is $40 billion a year. What goes on in that Naval Yard, huh? $40 billion a year. Naval Yard. Then the next thing says, multiple victims. Now, I want you to hear this. This is an AP story. Says Sunday, 15 September, 50 September 2013, 23:31. That's 11 o'clock that night. That's 11:31 that night. Now, what's wrong with that story? The shooting didn't happen till the 16th. Huh? This story somebody accidentally put this story out. The story was already written up before it happened. Okay? Now, there's another one that's out there, and it says, Naval Yard shooter was a former sailor. 13 killed in shooting rampage, including gunmen. September the 16th, 2030, 6 a.m. in the morning. The shooting didn't happen till 8:20. Now, we're going to look at all these mistakes, and everybody say, wait a minute. There's something going on here. And so, for this to be one of the most sophisticated cities in the world, the Washington Post, I know about it, but the Washington Post don't know about it.
Hold that thought right there, Greg, because we got to take a quick break at the top of the hour. When we come back, I'll let you finish. Folks, you can speak to Dick Gregory as well at 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls right after this quick break. With us, folks, I guess the social activist Dick Gregory was talking about the shooting that was on Capitol Hill recently, and Greg says a lot of unanswered questions about the shooting. Seems to have moved out of the news cycle. Nobody's talking about it. There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. If you've got a question you want Dick Gregory to answer, you can reach us at 800-450-7876. I'll repeat it again for you. That's 800-450-7876. Greg, I'm going to let you finish up before we take any calls.
And so, again, I'm just saying that with all these unanswered questions, that the press here is not paying. So who is controlling the press's news? And somewhere, all of this is happening here. We watched it, and yet and still they can still cover up stuff or don't answer questions that should be asked that the people's not raising. We were told, first we were told there were 3 gunmen, 2 black and 1 white. They told us that, then all at once they said it was just 1 gunman. Now, if you remember, those of you who've been watching it, listen to this here. Naval Yard shooting as a former sailor. Now, under the title, it says helicopter lift person off the roof. When you look at that helicopter, there's 2 black people in that helicopter. That amount. Were they bringing them in or taking them out? Okay. Now listen how I finish. It says, lift person off the roof as police responds to a report of a shooting Monday at the Naval Yard in Washington, D.C. Now listen to this. Washington, D.C. At least 6 people were killed and as many as 3 gunmen in the rest. Now they tell us this, then all at once now, there ain't no gunman involved, but 1. And those of y'all that live here that saw the FBI film of the gunman running through the building, okay? Now, it's 3,000 people in that building. We didn't see 1 person. We didn't see him pass 1 person. We didn't see him shoot at nobody. He's running down the hallway with no shirt on. Well, who took those pictures? Is that a video there? Well, what was on the rest of the video? And so I remember looking at them interview 1 white, looked like a officer, Navy officer, in the brown khakis that officers wear. And he said, there was standing out there and talking to my good friend, and all the ones he was shot dead. And I got my eyes closed waiting because I can't run. And then all at once, I opened my eyes and there was no more shooting. And he said, so this leads me to believe the people that was being shot was picked. This wasn't just at random shooting. And so all of this here, and then they go back and they clean it up. And we, the press out here, let them clean it up because we just take up what they saying has happened. And so I'm saying, and you that's listening, see, it's important for your questions because you will see things that most of us would miss. I don't miss it because I've been doing this for so long. But there's people that will listen to your questions and say, oh, yeah, I saw that. Wow, I saw that. Yeah, I thought. And most of y'all thought something was wrong with it. But they kept overwhelming you, telling you it was this and telling you it was that. And so if y'all ready for questions now, but I want to say one other thing to show you how this works. The J. Edgar Hoover sent out a telex to the Chicago FBI. Now, I lived in Chicago for years. For years. I know, being an entertainer, I knew who all the black drug pushers was. I knew who all of the black crime people was. I know the crime thugs that worked for Mayor Daley, shaking down the unions and beating black folks into behaving if you're a union member. So a telex go from Hoover to the Chicago Bureau Friday, March the 10th, 1978. Now let me tell you what happened. Before the FBI got the telex, somebody had brought a copy to me. I got it before they did. Now here's the Chicago Tribune, one of the leading papers in the world. And it says FBI memo. It's a front page picture, but it's a front page story.
Is Kurt still there?
Oh, you there?
Yeah, I thought we lost you for a second.
The late J. Edgar Hoover ordered the Chicago office of the FBI to develop measures to neutralize. Now, let me tell you why that's important. Neutralize is their word of saying kill. My wife called me and said, Greg, did you hear what just happened? I said, what? He said, well, the guy at the neighbor yard, they said they got him cornered. I said, yep. Then they say he's been shot. Then they made a mistake to say, so we're about to neutralize him. Oh, so it says neutralize black comedian Dick Gregory and suggested that a measure that could be used is tell him what Dick Gregory said, that the mob is the most slimy, degenerate people on the planet. Now, the Hoover is saying to the FBI, show this remark here to the mob, and maybe they will do it. Well, no, maybe all you got to do is tell them. Except they didn't expect me to get it before anybody, so I went to the press. And so, now, forget that. Chicago Tribune, how come not another paper in America ran this story? Now, it wasn't that the Tribune ain't going to run a front page story if they didn't believe it. You mean the New York Times didn't run it? The Washington Post didn't run it? That's how vicious this thing is that we call the press, okay? If you or a family member of yours would have been the one to take that picture on September the 11th of that second building blowing up, because we didn't see the first one. Whoever took that picture, they would have won a Pulitzer Prize. They was getting $40,000 speech, and that person's name would be world renowned. How come none of you listening to this show can name the person that took that picture? They get $40,000 if it happened. Okay? So I'm just saying, when you look back over it, and it was a hell of a story called, if you got your people in Chicago, the story that broke big the other night in Washington, D.C., was this white woman they found dead. I don't know if it's Rock Creek Park or something. And they openly saying Kennedy. It was Kennedy's little love lady. And it was about to come out. And she was wiped out. And I'm watching it on TV where they saying this happened. And that ain't big news. Okay? That's how they squash it. They just, one story come out in a major newspaper. You know this, called what I'm fixing to say now. On September the 11th, the World Trade Building. Y'all can Google this, what I'm fixing to tell you now. The San Francisco Chronicle, one of the better newspapers in the world, had a front page story, hear me, y'all, that Willie Brown, the black mayor of San Francisco, was told that Friday before, don't take your flight on Tuesday to New York. Front page story. Not another paper touched this. They got some kind of button they can touch. Okay? And then that following Friday, that was Tuesday, Wednesday, the story ran, Thursday, Friday, another story ran in the San Francisco Chronicle that George Shultz, ex-Secretary of State, was told that Friday not to go into to New York City. Now, nobody touched this story but San Francisco Chronicle. That's how it works. So if y'all ready for questions, I'm here.
All right, let's go with Raheem on line 1. Raheem, you have a question for Greg?
Hey, Gregory, how you doing, man?
I'm fine, my brother. Peace and love to you and the family. Nice hearing from you.
my man. Hey, look, I'm gonna go deeper for you, and I agree with you on the Navy Yard and the Capitol thing. How about I go Sandy Hook for you, Mr. Gregory? How about I go the connection between Sandy Hook and the guy who shot up the movie theater in Colorado?
Okay.
Now, the story basically is, now I don't know if you knew already.
I knew all that. I knew all of it. Matter of fact, some of this stuff I know for what happened because I got spies out there. Okay. But now let me just put you here just 1 second and then we'll go back. Okay.
Okay.
What happened in Colorado? Okay. That night in the movie, that was the Batman movie, right?
Yes, sir.
That movie had been complete 2 years before it opened up. In the front part of that movie, they talk about Sandy Hook in the movie. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear me?
Right. Hold that thought right there, Greg. And Raheem, stay with us, too, because we got to take a quick break. And we come back and let you guys finish. Folks, you can join the conversation at 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls right after this quick break.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
And thank you for staying with us, folks. Our guest social activist Gregory. We're speaking with Raheem in D.C. Fellas, you both there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, sir.
All right, you continue the conversation.
So I cannot wait to enjoy what you fix to say.
All right.
Go ahead,
Gregory, basically, what I'm basically saying is a lot of people don't realize the connection between those two events.
No. We haven't established that yet, other than the movie. You got to go ahead and say who that boy's daddy was that did the shooting out there.
Okay.
And then we'll move from there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, basically, a lot of people don't realize those two guys' fathers were supposed to testify in the world's biggest Ponzi scheme for General Electric. I don't know if a lot of people remember when Hillary Clinton caught her concussion all of a sudden out of the blue. She was actually supposed to testify in the same trial. Now, the way they covered the whole thing up, they made it look like the guy's mother was just some random teacher. He just went there and randomly killed her and shot her in the head.
But a lot of people, filthy rich.
That was a beautiful house. That was a big house for somebody that was just randomly
had never been in that school in her life, but they had everybody believing she was a teacher there.
Exactly. Now, we all fell for that trick. The other trick that I think that made the whole thing look good was they involved the children. Now, if anybody know about FEMA crisis actors, man, that whole scene was the fakest I ever seen in my life. Now, they play, I use a word Professor Griff says, media, multi-ethnic demons in action.
Yes.
They play us to a T. The children thing worked on our emotions, and we won't look at the facts. All right? Now, at the end of the day, everybody in the world use your Google machines and Google what Mr. Gregory is saying and what I'm saying about the biggest Ponzi scheme in America, and you'll see why those two young boys and their parents are being railroaded. Now, I'm with you on the Navy Yard. The Navy Yard thing, Mr. Gregory, I just realized, is a part of the movie Two Guns. All right? It's a scene in Two Guns with Denzel Washington where him and Mark Wahlberg go into the Navy Yard.
That's right.
And it's mighty funny how Denzel Washington has a gun in his hand and he's running through this Navy Yard just going in and out of doors, just like that picture you just spoke of that you're trying to figure out who took. It's mighty funny. I haven't figured out the actual reason behind that yet, though, Mr. Gregory, but I'll hang up And I
you're
love
not
you.
No, you're not going to hang up on me. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you.
Okay, now let's go back real easy. Everybody's wondering how these folks with no education, working part-time in McDonald's, can qualify for a $500,000 home. Okay? Well, here's the reason. The guy who's been indicted, only reason he's indicted because shows like this and people hear people like you. What happened is the boy at the Batman movie in Colorado, he was at the University of Colorado in Denver. That's the second most powerful mind control school in the world. Second only to Virginia Tech. All that mess you have happened at Virginia Tech, ain't nobody figured that out, right?
You're right. I'm with you on that.
All right, now let me tell you this. They said at Virginia Tech, well, how come it took you cops so long to get into that room? They said because he had all three doors locked from the outside. Then nobody said, well, he locked all three doors. How'd he get in? Huh? You take it. You hear what I'm saying? If all the doors was locked and the state troopers can't get in, how did he get in? Or was it more than one person? Now we get back to the Batman thing. Here's a guy, after all the shooting, the cops find him in the back of the theater sitting on a car, and at first they thought he was part of the SWAT team.
Yes, sir. That's
now,
right.
It sounds like somebody going to walk in the movie and wipe out everybody in there and then just go out and don't say, all right, y'all, come on, I'm going down fight. The other thing is the witnesses in the movie. One guy said, I heard a phone ring. And the guy got up and went and opened that emergency exit. Now, no, you haven't heard that no more. That's very important.
Yes, sir.
Now watch this now. Now we find out that the boy's daddy, he is the owns the number one company that fixes your credit score. You know about that, right? If you got a bad credit score, you hear them advertising, call us. Well, they fix the credit scores. So now I got your brother's credit score fixed, works in McDonald's part-time, fixed, so now he can qualify to get him a $500,000 house. So now where did that credit score go? It go out to the boy's daddy that's supposed to did all that in Sandy Hook, who runs the financial section of, electric. Now you can't get no bigger tie up than that. The one boy whose daddy handles the credit scores sends them east to the boy's daddy that did the shooting at the school. And so the New York Times ain't put that together. The Washington Post ain't put that together. NBC News ain't put that together. Now it says the boy kills his mother, but he smashes her computer. Why?
Yeah.
Because mom was working for the CIA. Her job was to develop violent videos for children. Because I'm thinking to say, well, wait a minute. If this guy is dead set on committing suicide, why you got to cover up the stuff you did? Huh? Who cares what you find in my house? Huh? So now let's go back to the school. When the cops get there, nobody knew what this boy looked like. They get in the building and they see
Gregory. Don't forget don't forget they reported it was 3 shooters. They also have footage.
Oh, no.
Another guy being chased through the woods.
Hold it. I got that.
Oh, okay.
They didn't report it. Let me tell you where that came from. So they go in and they find these 26 children dead, and then the school teachers. You remember that, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
Me and you as cops going in, right? We see the children dead, and then we see the school teachers. How do you and I decide that he wasn't a school teacher? You hear what I just said?
You're right.
Nobody knew what he looked like. You see the children, you see the adults. How do we determine he wasn't one of the school teachers? Now, the other thing is that powerful gun he used, do you know they haven't found that yet? If I'm gonna shoot myself with a gun, where'd I throw it? Huh? I mean, that's very important. So now we know that the mother's computer was smashed because didn't nobody want folks to know that her job with the CIA and her and her husband was divorced, and she got a powerful settlement out of that. And so when you stop and you look at it and tip through it, now a lot of people listen to the 911 calls. Well, I'm 81 years old. We little boy didn't have 911. They had the police scanner. So we listened to the police calls all night in St. Louis. We knew who was doing what. We know, oh, that's Mr. Jones. Oh, that's Reverend Jones. Wow, he beat up his wife, threw off the balcony. So here's what they picked up off the police scanner. CBS ran it one time, and then they pulled it. You heard this. You heard say, we got one of the shooters in the police car. There's another one running out the woods with fatigues on, and said, and we got another one on the ground putting handcuffs. There was 3. And then all at once now, it wasn't nobody. He was the lone one. And so that's why I said when the country falls, we take it back to the press. Not all you little punks out there that you just reported. You don't even know what's going on. Okay? And then from that, for instance, those of y'all that's old enough to know who they said the greatest psychic in the world. What was her name? She's a woman. Jean Dixon, okay? She had columns in papers all over the world. The great Jean Dixon. 18 months before Kennedy went to Dallas, she did a column and said, I see dark clouds around JFK's head in Dallas.
All right, hold that thought right there. Greg, hold that thought because we got to take another break. And Raheem, thanks for your call because we got to keep moving. You got some other folks who want to talk to Dick Gregory. Folks, you can join the line of 800-450-7876 right after this quick break.
Washington, D.C.'s 1450. 1450 WOL Radio.
And thank you for staying with us and our guest, the social activist Dick Gregory. Greg, I'm going to let you finish up on that shooting at the cinema because you got some other folks who want to talk to you as well.
Yeah, but before we do this, let me tell you what Hoover did. Jean Dixon, who was probably one of the greatest psychics in the world, if you listen to the white folks. 18 months before Kennedy went to Dallas, she did a column that went all over the world and said, I see dark clouds around JFK's head in Dallas. He should not go to that. He wasn't even booked to go to Dallas. Now, 18 months later, he's in Dallas. He gets shot. They rerun the column. Jean Dixon. Now we find out under Freedom of Information that Jean Dixon was on Hoover's payroll. And every target they had, they would give it to her, and she'd run a projection, so everybody thought that went sent it to the right hand of God. How do you break through that? Huh? How do you break through that when people you trust, is into that and go to that, and so you automatically believe she knows because you have no idea that someone at that level would hire that dog to do that. And so consequently, that's what you're looking at. And then when you hear it, you know, General Petraeus. Now they told you he got fired because of his biographer, the woman. What they didn't tell you is that woman's friend was friends to those 2 twin sisters down in Florida that was throwing all in parties for the generals. Okay, $600,000, $700,000 parties. Then we find out that her daddy, as we talk now, is one of the top trainers for the KGB super spies. And yet they're that close to the general. What he got busted for, and you find it in the London Guardian. They did a huge story on the New York Times and the Washington Post didn't run this story. And here was the story. General Petraeus and about 40 other top military people was planning on overthrowing the government. Now, here's what they was going to do. They was going to kill Romney a week before the election, okay? And then they got a week now, the Republicans to pick. General Petraeus would have been the one that was picked. and all of us now would be on the martial law. So y'all play your games and play them quick and play them fast, because recess is just about over. Well, we got another caller there.
Yes, we do. Let's go to line 3. Dorothy's in D.C. Dorothy, you're on with Dick Gregory. You have a question for Greg?
Yes. Hi, Carl.
And God bless you.
Hi, God bless you too. One thing I haven't heard since the incident downtown D.C. Was the statement the CIA representative made after the woman was killed. The D.C. and the Capitol Police made their statements, and then he made a statement. He said that the police officers, when the woman pulled up at the White House, he asked her to roll down her window what she wanted. This CIA representative said, and it's on the news, that she told him that she was looking for President Obama because a prophet of something, and I wrote it down real quick, but I couldn't understand what he said. The prophet of, it started with a TOOS, told me to find President Obama. And I haven't heard anybody say anything about the statement, and I haven't heard anybody interviews a police officer who at the White House, when she pulled up and she stopped her car and then she pulled and hit the brick wall. I haven't heard anybody, but that's what that CIA representative said at the news conference, the prophet of something. So I think there is a connection between the Navy Yard murder and this lady's killing. And I know that now, I was reading that they are starting some new experiments on mind control now. As a matter of fact, I think it was in the Federal News Report. So they're beginning to start exploring again, mind control. And people should be aware out there that all of this is true. And you can't be in denial now, because everything in the Illuminati, the One World Order, the 21 goals, they are accomplishing. And you go on the website, look at the 21 goals.
Let's give Brad a chance to respond. Thanks for your call.
Okay. Before you get off, let me ask you something. Are you aware that John McCain was sentenced to death before a firing squad by a military court? Because when he was in Vietnam, he told on everybody. You hear me? They say there's never been a traitor like him since Benedict Arnold. You don't hear nobody. The Democrats be mad at him. They don't bring it up. The Republicans be mad at him. They don't bring it up. This is the game that is played as white supremacy. And when white folks and black folks stop thinking white supremacy is the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacy, here's how it works. White people on this planet is 3%. Non-white is 97%. 3% controls the whole planet of 97%. They do that through white supremacy. While we sitting around looking at some old punk Ku Klux Klan who can't read or write, and they got us making believe they determine public policy. They can lynch people and kill people when they get one. Not at all. And so again, I'm saying there's a lot of things you see and a lot of things you don't see, because most folks, if my mama was alive, she called the police on some of the stuff she hear me say. My whole thing is this. My truth don't have to be validated by ignorance. You know how many people will call up these shows and make like they're some honest citizen, and the CIA and FBI? And then I get a lot of stuff from the agencies that hate they got to do it. You know how many men found out that working around asbestos, they would die, but they couldn't stop because they got children they're trying to get through college. They got house notes they got to pay. So you got folks that know what they're doing, but they can't quit the job. So they bring them to people like me. They bring them to people. Yeah, that's something for you. And they bring them to me because they know I got a team that can go in and look it out and make sure I'm not tricked. Okay. And so you live like that. I choose to live like that. I put this over my wife and my family. She knows she go on assignments with me. Okay? And so, again, I'm saying that I believe we've gone beyond the point of no return. When Kennedy got to Dallas, his car went down Elm Street. That car was not supposed to go down Elm Street. That wasn't one of the routes. That decision was made 30 minutes before Kennedy's plane landed. Then the pressure to ask Poland, how did Lee Harvey Oswald know to go get a job at the book depository 6 weeks before Kennedy got there? How did he know that car was coming down Elm Street? You know, it gets real simple, but you're so overwhelmed with a multi-billion-dollar system that can cover up every trick, that can put this down. Do you know in Washington, D.C., 98% of all gay and lesbian boys is owned by the CIA and the FBI? I mean, it is vicious. What you cannot do because most folks is not even aware of it. So thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. Thanks for your call, Dorothy. Let's go to line 1. Abdul's joining us from Seattle, Washington. Abdul, you have a question for Dick Gregory.
Yes, good day to you, Carl, and good day to you, Elder Gregory.
God bless you, Abdul. How are you and the family?
Yes, we're great. Thank you. Yeah, I was calling in because I actually read a report from whatdoesitmean.com from author Sort Your File, where she actually brought up the fact that President Obama and Mariam Carey had actually met in May of 2011 when President Obama was going to do the address for the U.S. Coast Guard graduating class.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. Wait. Hold it. You talking about the Coast Guard graduation?
Yes,
he
sir.
was going to do the address.
Yes, sir.
And something happened on the plane where he was almost 3 hours late.
Mm-hmm.
And he was eating some pistachio.
Mm-hmm.
And he broke down, and it went into his back tooth, and they had to get hold to a dentist.
Yes, sir.
And so they searched around, and they came back and said, this dentist office has top clearance. They also should have said that's where she worked, okay?
How about that?
And not only was it a dentist office, it was the top place where naval intelligence assassins work out that building, okay?
All right, hang on a sec, Greg, and Abdul, because we got to take a break right here. I hate to say at this critical juncture. Guys are connecting the dots right here. I hope folks are listening to this. If you're not, wake them up and tell them to listen, because this is really important, what's coming up between Abdul and Dick Gregory.